Good afternoon, television fans. Big Al here on this Monday, June 30th, 2025, and we are starting a new series on the channel today, which talks about the history of local television stations from across the country. Now, we'll be looking at multiple stations from major markets to mid-major markets and even a few small markets as well in this series. I'll be posting every day, Monday through Saturday, at least until football season starts up, and then after football season we'll resume. Today we're going to start off in the New York City television market and look at WCBS-TV, which is the second oldest television station in the United States. It is the flagship television station of the CBS television network and is owned and operated by the network. As we see Crazy Cajuns in the house. What's up, Crazy Cajun? And this station has a very extensive history. It was founded back in 1931 and was licensed as a television station in 1941. So I will read you through all of the history of WCBS-TV. And the rest of the week we'll look at other stations from across the New York City area. And we'll be working down the Nielsen television markets list as we go along in this series. So hopefully you'll join me on this journey and like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Ring the bell and get notified every time I go live. And with that, we are about to dive into the history of WCBS-TV. All the information here is courtesy of Wikipedia. Oh, I'm having a great day, bro. About to begin this new series. Alright, so WCBS-TV Channel 2, branded as CBS New York, is a television station in New York City, serving as the flagship of the CBS television network. It is owned and operated by the network's CBS News and Stations division, alongside Riverhead, New York licensed independent station WLNY-TV Channel 55, which we will be talking about in this series later on. The two stations share studios within the CBS Broadcast Center on West 57th Street in Midtown Manhattan, and Channel 2's transmitter is located at One World Trade Center. Alright, so here are the specs on WCBS-TV New York. It broadcasts on Virtual Channel 2 and RF Digital Channel 36. On-air brand is CBS New York and CBS News New York for their newscasts. Of course, the station is affiliated with CBS, and I'll tell you about the sub-channels of the station a little bit later on. Again, the station is owned by CBS News and Stations and licensed by CBS Broadcasting Incorporated. Its sister station is WLNY-TV. WCBS-TV was founded on July 21st, 1931 as an experimental station, which we'll begin into shortly, and was officially on the air on July 1st, 1941, originally as WCBW. The station would become WCBS-TV in 1946. The station previously aired on analog VHF Channel 2 from 1941 to 2009, and in digital on UHF Channel 56 from 1997 to 2009, and Channel 33 from 2009 to 2019 before moving its digital signal to the current Channel 36. They operate a translator in the Bronx on Channel 53 known as W55AA. Call sign meaning is the Columbia Broadcasting System, the former legal name of CBS. The station is licensed by the Federal Communications Commission and operates at 548,000 watts from their 1,706-foot tower atop One World Trade Center. They also operate another translator in Riverhead, New York on UHF Channel 22. And their website is cbsnews.com/New York. Alright, diving into the history of WCBS-TV, starting with the early years from 1931 to 1951. WCBS-TV's history dates back to CBS's opening of experimental station W2XAB on July 21st, 1931, using the mechanical television system that had been more or less perfected in the late 1920s. It first broadcast featured New York Mayor Jimmy Walker, Kate Smith, and George Gershwin. The station had the first regular 7-day broadcasting schedule in American television, broadcasting 28 hours a week. Among its early programming were Harriet Lee, which aired in 1931, The Television Ghost, which ran from 1931 to 1933, Helen Haynes, 1931 to 1932, and Piano Lessons, also 1931 to 1932. Because W2XAB was broadcasting its video on 2750 kilocycles and audio separately on W2XE at 6120 kilocycles in the shortwave band in 1931, the experimental station's signal could be received in nearby states beyond the New York metro area, as far away as Boston and Baltimore. In Allentown, Pennsylvania, about 80 miles distant, the local newspaper even listed W2XAB's daily program schedules, for example, as did the Ithaca Journal in upstate New York, about 175 miles north and west of New York City. Announcer and director Bill Shupp was the station's only paid employee, while all other staff were volunteers. W2XAB pioneered programming development, including small-scale dramatic arts, monologues, pantomime, and the use of projection slides to simulate sets. Engineer Bill Lodge devised the first synchronized sound wave for a television station in 1932, enabling W2XAB to broadcast picture and sound on a single shortwave channel instead of the two previously needed. On November 8, 1932, W2XAB broadcast the first television coverage of presidential election reruns. The station suspended operations on February 20, 1933, as monochrome television transmission standards were in flux, and the production of changing from the limited mechanical operation to an all-electronic system. W2XAB returned with an all-electronic system in 1939 from a new studio complex in Grand Central Station and a transmitter located at the Chrysler Building, broadcasting on Channel 2. W2XAB transmitted the first color broadcast in the United States on August 28, 1940, although it was not black and white compatible. On June 24, 1941, W2XAB received a commercial construction permit and program authorization as WCBW. The station went on the air at 2:30 p.m. on July 1, 1941, which is an hour after rival WNBT Channel 1 and formerly W2XBS, known today as WNBC Channel 4, and making it the second authorized fully commercial television station in the United States. The Federal Communications Commission issued permits to CBS and NBC at the same time and intended WNBT and WCBW to sign on simultaneously on July 1st, so no one station could claim to be the first. WCBW's initial broadcast was the first local newscast aired on a commercial station in the country. Its assigned frequency was 60 to 66 megahertz, now known as Channel 3, but then referred to as Channel 2 in the 1940 to 46 alignment of the VHF band. Program schedules were irregular through the summer and early fall of 1941. Regular daily operations began on October 29th and WCBW received a full broadcast license, its construction permit, and commercial program authorization on March 10th, 1942. After the war, the FCC reallocated the television and FM bands. WCBW closed down its operation on the old Channel 2 at the end of February of 1946. The 60 to 66 megahertz band has been reallocated to WPTZ in Philadelphia as Channel 3. To move to a new Channel 2 at 54 to 60 megahertz. It quickly began operation on the new frequency where it's remained from the spring of 1946 and for the next 63 years until the end of analog full power television service in the late spring of 2009. After the FCC allowed television stations owned by radio stations in the same city to use the same call letters as the radio station with the suffix TV, the call letters were changed to WCBS-TV on November 1st, 1946. The change coincided with the renaming of CBS's New York radio stations, WABC 880 AM and WABC FM 101.1 as WCBS. 880 AM is known as WHSQ, and 101.1 is now WCBS FM. Later analog years, 1951 to 2008. On February 26, 1951, WCBS-TV became the first station to broadcast a regularly scheduled feature film series, The Late Show. On August 11, 1951, WCBS-TV broadcast the first baseball game on color television between the Brooklyn Dodgers and Boston Braves from Ebbets Field. As for all color programs at the time, it was transmitted via a field sequential color system developed by CBS. Signals transmitted this way could not be seen on existing black and white sets. The CBS color system was scrapped after the FCC embraced the alternative RCA all-electronic dot sequential system, which was fully compatible with the existing monochrome television standard, late in 1953. However, CBS telecast few programs in color either locally or through the network until the mid-1960s, when color television sets became more affordable to the American public. In May 1997, the station adapted the CBS2 branding, along with sister stations KCBS-TV in Los Angeles and WBBM-TV in Chicago, while retaining a unique and distinctive logo. WCBS-TV's over-the-air signal was not affected by the September 11th terror attacks that destroyed the World Trade Center. Unlike its competitors, Channel 2 had long maintained a full-powered backup transmitter at the Empire State Building, after moving its main transmitter to the North Tower of the then new World Trade Center in 1975. The station's coverage of the attacks was also simulcast nationally on Viacom, which owned CBS at the time. That would be Viacom Cable Network VH1 that day. In the immediate aftermath of the attacks, WCBS-TV was briefly the only full coverage over-the-air television service operating in New York City, although the station lent transmitting time to other stations who had lost their transmitters until they found suitable backup equipment and locations. The backup transmitter had been put into operation once before, when the World Trade Center bombing of February 26, 1993, Not most of the area stations off the air. Hello, Anna, how are you doing? Now to the digital era. WCBS-TV ended regular programming on its analog signal over VHF Channel 2 at 2 p.m. on June 12, 2009 as part of the federally mandated transition from analog to digital television. The station moved its digital signal from its pre-transition UHF Channel 56, which was among the high-band UHF channels from 52 to 69, that were removed from broadcasting use as a result of the transition to Channel 33, using Virtual Channel 2. Since the station qualified for the nightlight clause in the DTV Delay Act, WCBS kept its analog signal on for a month to provide public service announcements starting at 3 p.m. on June 12th and permanently shutting it down during the early morning hours of July 13th, 2009. This possibly made it the last full-power NTSC broadcast television station in the United States to discontinue analog transmissions. Digital Sub-Channel 2.2, branded as CBS New York Plus, was launched in November 2011 as a 24-hour news channel drawing up the resources of WCBS-TV, WCBS Radio 880 AM, WINS 1010 AM, and WFAN 660 AM. The Plus service was eventually planned to be rolled out to CBS's other owned and operated stations, but only WCBS and KYW-TV in Philadelphia added Plus channel services. On December 12, 2011, CBS television stations announced its intent to purchase Riverhead, New York licensed WLNY-TV Channel 55. Later announced for a purchase price of $55 million, creating a duopoly with WCBS-TV. The company announced that it would add additional on-air staff and expand WLNY's local news programming. At the time, that station only had an 11 p.m. newscast. The FTC approved the sale on January 31st, 2012, and CBS took control of the station on March 30th. WLNY suspended its own news operations the previous day and began airing WCBS-TV produced newscasts on July 2nd of 2012. My brother-in-law Joey has a wife named Anna. I thought it was cool that I know two Joey and Annas. That's awesome, Crazy Cajun. I like that. WCBS-TV, as of February 2012, has a construction permit for a digital fill-in translator on Channel 22 to be licensed to Plainview, New York, which would serve portions of eastern and central Long Island, where WCBS-TV's signal is affected by the presence of WFSB, which is a CBS affiliate in Hartford, Connecticut, which also broadcasts on digital Channel 33. In 2016, WCBS-TV returned to transmitting from One World Trade Center in Lower Manhattan. On October 21st, 2014, CBS and Weigel Broadcasting announced the launch of a new digital sub-channel service called Decades, scheduled to launch on all CBS-owned stations on May 25th, 2015, including WCBS-TV on Channel 2.2. The channel is co-owned by CBS and Weigel, which owns WDJT-TV, which is the CBS station in Milwaukee, with Weigel being responsible for distribution to non-CBS-owned stations. It airs programs from the extensive library of CBS television distribution known today as CBS Media Ventures. including archival footage from CBS News. On September 3rd, 2018, Decades was replaced on 2.2 by Start TV. Decades returned to the New York market in October 2019 when it was added to WNYW Channel 5.5 as part of an agreement between Weigel and Fox television stations. Decades today is now the comedy-themed channel Catchy Comedy. As a result of the 2016-17 FCC Spectrum Incentive Auction, WCBS-TV moved its digital signal from Channel 33 to Channel 36 on August 1st, 2019. On December 12th, 2018, WCBS-TV in cooperation with CBS Interactive launched CBSN New York, a local version and partner of the CBSN service. CBS News New York can be accessed from cbsnewyork.com, cbsnews.com, and their respective mobile and streaming apps. Oh, it is blazing hot. It's probably about 1:10 right now, and it is about 12:30 here. It is crazy. I had to let my dog in about an hour ago because it was getting way too hot. On December 4th, 2019, CBS Corporation and Viacom remerged. WCBS and WLNY therefore became part of Viacom CBS, which is now Paramount Global. Alright, now to the programming, beginning with the station's news operation. Upon becoming commercial station WCBW in 1941, the station broadcast 2 daily news programs at 2:30 and 7:30 p.m. weekdays, anchored by Richard Hubble. Most of the newscasts feature Hubble reading a script with only occasional cutaways to a map or still photograph. When Pearl Harbor was bombed on December 7, 1941, WCBW, which was usually off the air on Sunday to give the engineers a day off, took to the air at 8:45 p.m. that Sunday night with an extensive special report. The national emergency even broke down to the unspoken law between CBS radio and television. WCBW executives convinced radio announcers and experts such as George Fielding Eliot and Linton Wells to come down to the Grand Central Station studios during the evening and give information and commentary on the attack. The WCBW special report that night lasted less than 90 minutes, but the special broadcast pushed the limits of live television in 1941 and opened up new possibilities for future broadcasts. As CBS wrote in a special report to the FCC, the unscheduled live news broadcast on December 7th, quote, was unquestionably the most stimulating challenge and marked the greatest advance of any single problem faced up to that time, end quote. Additional newscasts were scheduled in the early days of the war. In May 1942, WCBW, like almost all television stations, sharply cut back its live program schedule and the newscasts were canceled. Since the station temporarily suspended studio operations, resorting exclusivity to the occasional broadcasts or films. This was primarily due to the fact that much of the staff had either joined the service or were redeployed to war-related technical research and to prolong the life of the early unstable cameras, which were now impossible to repair due to the wartime lack of parts. In May 1944, as the war began to turn in favor of the Allies, WCBW reopened the studios and the newscast returned, briefly anchored by Ned Calmer and then Everett Hollies. After the war, expanded news programs appeared on the WCBW schedule, renamed WCBS-TV in 1946, first anchored by Milo Bolton and later by Douglas Edwards. On May 3, 1848, Douglas Edwards began anchoring CBS television news, a regular 15-minute nightly newscast on the rudimentary CBS network, including WCBS-TV. It aired every weeknight at 7:30 and was the first regularly scheduled network television news program featuring an anchor. The NBC television network's offering at the time, NBC Television Newsreel, premiering in February 1948, was simply filmed with voice narration. In 1950, the name of the nightly news was changed to Douglas Edwards with the News, and the following year it became the first news program to be broadcast on both coasts, thanks to a new coaxial cable connection prompting Edwards to use the greeting, "Good evening everyone, coast to coast." The broadcast was renamed the CBS Evening News when Walter Cronkite replaced Edwards in 1962. Edwards remained with CBS News with various daytime television newscasts and radio news broadcasts up until his retirement on April 1st, 1988. In the 1950s through the mid-60s, WCBS-TV's local broadcasts were anchored by CBS News correspondents Richard Trout at 7 p.m., and by Don Hollenbeck and later Douglas Edwards at 11 p.m. Beginning in 1965, production of local news broadcasts on WCBS-TV and other CBS-owned television stations, which had been previously produced by CBS News, were taken over by the local stations. Trout and Edwards were succeeded by Jim Jensen. Jensen had only come to WCBS-TV a year early. He had been at WBZ-TV in Boston, but was already well known for his coverage of Robert F. Kennedy's 1964 campaign for the United States Senate. During the 1960s, WCBS-TV battled WNBC-TV Channel 4 for the top-rated news department in New York City. After WABC-TV Channel 7 introduced eyewitness news in the late 1960s, WCBS-TV went back and forth in first place with Channel 7, in a rivalry that continued through the 1970s, and for much of the early 1980s, New York's Big Three stations took turns in the top spot. During this time, three of the longest tenure anchor teams in New York, Jensen and Rollin Smith at WCBS, Roger Grimsby and Bill Buttell on WABC, and Chuck Scarborough and Sue Simmons on WNBC, went head-to-head with each other. On January 25, 1982, WCBS-TV debuted its 5 p.m. weekday newscast. WCBS-TV had many well-known personalities during this era, including anchors Dave Marash, Rollin Smith, Michelle Marsh, and Vic Miles, meteorologists Frank Field and John Coleman, reporters Meredith Vieira, Randall Pinkston, Tony Guida, John Stossel, and Arnold Diaz, and sportscaster Warren Wolf. Vieira, Pinkston, and Guida later moved to the CBS network. In 1988, controversy involving an exchange between Jim Jensen and co-anchor Bree Walker, whose fingers and toes are fused together as a result of the condition ectrodactylis. I don't know how to pronounce that, but she has that condition where her fingers and toes are fused together. After After Walker did a report about her experience with the condition, Jensen asked Walker on the air if her parents would have aborted her had they known she would have been born with the condition. Well, that's just mean. Walker kept her composure on air but soon left the station. The incident took place shortly after Jensen's entry to drug rehabilitation. As the 1990s began, Channel 2 found itself increasingly losing its rating share to WNBC. On August 31st, 1992, Channel 2 debuted its one-hour weekday morning newscast, this time with the anchor team of Maury Alter and Lisa Randolph. Yeah, that is sad. I mean, how can you just throw your co-anchor under the bus like that? I mean, I don't get it. Alright, let me read that again. On August 31st, 1992, Channel 2 debuted its one-hour weekday morning newscast, this time with the anchor team of Maury Alter and Lisa Randolph, Trey Lease with traffic, and Craig Allen with weather. In late 1994, Jensen was taken off the anchor desk and demoted to host of a Sunday morning public affairs show, Sunday Edition. He also hosted a few episodes of the regular sports update show on Sunday nights at 11:30. At the time, Jensen has served as an anchor longer than anyone in New York television history. He has since been surpassed by both Butel of WABC and Chuck Scarborough of WNBC. In 1995, Jensen was forced to retire shortly after the Westinghouse Electric Corporation announced it was buying CBS. By the end of 1995, Channel 2's ratings were in last place for the first time in its history, while WNBC's ratings had risen to second place, a pecking order that would remain in place for 11 years. The station's news brand changed from Channel 2 News to just 2 News during that time. Contributed to the station's last place finish in the sweeps period of February 1996. Alright, 1996 massacre and mass firings and format changes. On October 2nd, 1996, the station executed an unprecedented mass firing without any advance warning, citing the need to shake up its news operation. 7 people were fired, including anchors John Johnson, Michelle Marsh, and Tony Guida, sports anchor Bernie Smolovitz, who promptly returned to his previous station, WDIV in Detroit, and reporters Reggie Harris, Roseanne Coletti, and McGee Hickey. The firings came after the 6 o'clock news. Johnson and Marsh had anchored the 5 p.m. newscast and signed off at 6, saying, "We will see you at 11," but never got a chance to say goodbye on the air. The massacre, as it has come to be known, was part of a move enacted by then news director Bill Carey to boost ratings, although it came at a time when CBS was under pressure to boost revenues, having just merged with Westinghouse. It was also part of a major reconstruction of the newscast, culminating in the May 1997 branding to News 2. 2 months prior, Warner Wolf had returned to the station, having left in 1992 for WCBS, or rather WUSA-TV, which is the CBS station in Washington, D.C. When the News 2 name was put in place, a format change was also instituted, going for a faster-paced newscast with more stories. This was reinforced by reminders that News 2 had more news in less time every time, and a rundown of stories to come.
I sent you a text, Lynn.
A new bold and italicized 2 logo, contained in a blue or white slanted box alongside the CBS I, replaced the long-running Futura 2, used in some form since the 1980s. The overall station branding switched from New York's Channel 2 to simply CBS 2 at this point, remaining the primary brand of the station to this day. After a year, little to no progress in the ratings were made, so the format was done away with. A new virtual studio format involving CGI being used to depict sections of the news studio that did not exist in reality, alongside bright orange and white graphics and a club remix of WCBS-TV's This Is Chicago, Chicago's My Town theme, which the station had used in various forms for all but a few years since 1982 was tried out. This didn't work either, so this approach was also abandoned in favor of a more traditional newscast. The club remix of the WBBM theme would continue to be used until early 2000. Alright, CBS 2 News. In 2000, Joel Cheatwood, creator of the 7 News format at WSVN in Miami, was appointed as the station's news director. At his suggestion, the newscasts were rebranded from News 2 to the CBS 2 Information Network using content partners such as U.S. News and World Report and VH1. He also gave the newscast more of a tabloid feel, while considerably watered down compared to Bill Applegate's work at WBBM-TV in Chicago, John Lippman's work at KCBS-TV in Los Angeles, Fox Flagship WNYW, and Cheatwood's work at WSVN, and even compared to WSVN's sister station WHDH in Boston, which, by the way, also uses the 7 News brand. It was much flashier than had been seen on New York's Big 3 affiliates. He also retooled the 11 p.m. report as a gritty, down-to-earth style newscast termed Nightcast. At this point, the station was sharing studio space with CBS Sports, after previously sharing street-side studios with CBS's then morning newscast, The Early Show. It also began usage of 2 different music packages from Ed Kalehoff, who had composed WNBC's Wherefore New York campaign and NBC Stations package that was in use at the time, and one for the normal newscast titled WCBS Grand, which began alongside the debut of the 4 p.m. news, and another package especially intended for nightcasts. It didn't work, and Cheatwood was gone by 2002 in favor of New York veteran news director Diane Doctor. The station became simply CBS 2 and gradually phased out the tabloid elements, the information network, and nightcasts. In its place, Doctor introduced a news for the people approach, similar to that of her previous employer, WNBC. The Kaloff produced themes were replaced with the John Hegner produced News in Focus, which sister KCBS had used starting in 1997 and had replaced just days before WCBS adopted the package. Several pieces of WCBS Grand has since been recycled by Kaloff as music cues on The Price is Right under the title Grandeur. The graphics and logo mainly became blue and silver, with that color motif remaining to this day, albeit with an addition of gold with successive graphics packages, including the last several, which have been shared with most of the other stations in the CBS owned and operated group. After Doctor's arrival, WCBS placed a revived emphasis on hard news, while attempting to revive some elements of its glory days. For instance, in 2003, Arnold Diaz rejoined the station to revive Shame on You, an Emmy Award-winning series of investigative segments. Diaz worked at WCBS from 1973 to 1995, leaving to serve a similar investigative role at ABC News. In December 2005, Diaz once again departed, this time leaving for Fox affiliate WNYW. Another segment was Eat at Your Own Risk, which highlighted unsafe conditions at New York area restaurants. Ironically, the cafeteria at the CBS Broadcast Center was cited for violations by the New York City Department of Health and Mental Hygiene. Violations included the presence of rats and roaches, as well as food temperature issues. Despite this and other attempts at fixes, the ratings did not significantly improve under Doctor's watch. Doctor was criticized for airing Shame on You and Eat at Your Own Risk segments ahead of major stories. She also came under fire when Channel 2 led its 11 p.m. newscast on May 24, 2005, with a story and exclusive video of actor Burt Reynolds slapping a CBS producer, while rivals WABC and WNBC led off with an important vote in the U.S. House on stem cell research. On May 27, 2004, Dr. fired popular sports anchor Warner Wolf 3 months before his contract expired, without giving Wolf a chance to say goodbye on air. This incident was widely panned by several newspapers, including the New York Daily News, and the move alienated and angered many viewers. Wolf would be replaced by the much younger Chris Raggi, who was brought in from NBC station KPRC-TV in Houston. On June 1, 2005, Jim Rosenfeld rejoined the station to anchor the 5 and 11 p.m. newscast with Ross Abrams, who joined Channel 2 the previous year after an 18-year run at rival WABC. The son of a former CBS executive, Rosenfeld had worked at the station from 1998 to 2000 before moving to WNBC to anchor live at 5 after a contract dispute with Channel 2. Rosenfeld replaced Ernie Anastos. There we go. Ernie Anastos. Sorry about that. Who moved to WNYW Channel 5 in July 2005. My bad, y'all. I got hung up there for just a moment. On October 22, 2005, WCBS-TV launched its new Doppler weather radar named Live Doppler 2 million. It had 1 million watts of power and is live, compared to other Dopplers in the market, which were delayed by about 15 minutes. Live Doppler 2 million was the punchline of a joke on an episode of Jimmy Kimmel Live and was ridiculed on the popular Opie and Anthony radio show. The station renamed the radar in 2006 to Live Doppler. The station also used the Viper radar processing software. Coincidentally, transportation reporter Arthur Chien was fired from the station 3 months earlier after mistakenly using expletives live on the air in response to someone from Opie and Anthony disrupting his live report as part of their assault on the media contest. On April 14, 2006, Diane Doctor left Channel 2, and the station decided to move its news department in a new direction under new general manager Peter Dunn, who axed both Shame on You and Eat at Your Own Risk. Doctor reportedly did not agree with the new plans and opted to leave. The station has since overhauled its graphics and anchor lineup, winning praise from media observers. Up next, partnership with the Weather Channel and ratings improvement. And this is a rather quick one. In early September 2006, WCBS-TV Weather Department entered into a partnership with the Weather Channel, with meteorologists from the cable channel often appearing on air with existing WCBS-TV meteorologists. Try saying that 5 times fast. WCBS-TV also received information from the Weather Channel in addition to using its radars and satellite imagery. The Weather Channel featured updates with WCBS for New York City's weather on its Evening Edition program, with one of the WCBS meteorologists, and forecast intros on WCBS began with "Now time for your exclusive forecast from CBS 2 and the Weather Channel." On July 7, 2008, this partnership ended when it was announced that the Weather Channel had been sold to NBC Universal, owner of competitor WNBC. Alright, here's another short one, personnel change. On November 6, 2006, WCBS-TV made a personnel change on its noon and 5 p.m. newscasts. Former sports director and anchor Chris Raggi became co-anchor of both programs, along with the newly hired Christine Johnson, both of which replaced Ross Abrams and Mary Calvi on those newscasts. Abrams' contract was allowed to lapse, and Calvi was reassigned to weekends as the sole evening anchor. Calvi also co-anchored on mornings with Rob Morrison. More changes would come on December 25, 2006, as John Elliott was introduced as the new morning and noon meteorologist, replacing Audrey Puente, whose abrupt breach of contract demotion led to her being allowed to become the new chief meteorologist at WWOR-TV Channel 9, which is another station we'll be talking about soon. Less than 2 weeks later, WCBS-TV also hired Lonnie Quinn, who had been a weatherman in Miami, as they phased out John Bolaris, who had rejoined WCBS in 2002. On June 25, 2007, Raggi and Johnson added the 11 p.m. newscast to their duties, trading places with Dana Tyler and Jim Rosenfeld on the noon program. Tyler and Rosenfeld continued to co-anchor the 6 p.m. newscast. Rosenfeld would leave WCBS in May 2008 and was replaced with recently hired weekend anchor Don Dollar. Improvements in ratings and a new set. In the February 2007 ratings period, WCBS-TV finished second behind WABC from sign-on to sign-off, its best showing in 16 years, although most of its newscasts still finished in third place at that time. By the November 2007 sweeps period, Channel 2's local evening newscast had overtaken WNBC for second place, mainly due to declining ratings at Channel 4. It was Channel 2's best news performance in 12 years, but it still trailed WABC by a fairly wide margin. On April 11, 2007, WCBS-TV became the third New York City television station to begin broadcasting its newscast in high definition. In May 2008, WCBS led WNBC by an even wider margin. However, its longtime number one noon newscast ratings fell behind WABC, the only other station to offer a noon newscast in the New York area. WCBS had been unable to regain the lead at noon since, although they were still second in New York City among the market's evening newscasts at the time. WCBS elected to change the noon anchors again after approximately a year and put the noon broadcast in the hands of the new morning news team, The then current anchors were Maurice Dubois and Mary Calvi, with John Elliott providing weather forecasts. Dubois has since switched to anchoring the weeknight 5 and 11 p.m. news with Johnson, while Raggy moved to the early show. He later returned to anchor WCBS's 6 p.m. news with Dana Tyler, and according to this, is now partnered with Calvi weekday mornings and at noon. Maurice Dubois is now co-anchor of the CBS Evening News, so that's kind of out of date. WCBS-TV today. In the February 2011 Nielsen sweeps period, WCBS-TV's 11 p.m. news unseated WABC-TV for first place in total households in that time slot. Channel 7, however, continued to lead in the key demographics at 11 p.m. And Channel 2 would quickly lose its lead at 11 p.m. after Channel 7 regained its status as number 1 at 11 p.m. in the May 2011 sweeps. WABC has since kept its number 1 status at 11 p.m. Recently, Channel 2 has fallen back into third place due to an increase in ratings at WNBC Channel 4. On March 12th and 13th, 2020, WCBS-TV's evening newscasts were produced by Los Angeles sister station KCBS-TV, and its morning newscasts originated from KPIX-TV in San Francisco, after the CBS Broadcast Center was closed for disinfection due to 2 employees testing positive for COVID-19. With weathercasts being originated from the Weather Department's mobile broadcast unit. Newscasts will resume at the CBS Broadcast Center that weekend. However, on March 18th, the CBS Broadcast Center was again shut down and production was transferred back to Los Angeles and KCBS. On March 20th, WCBS-TV began to originate newscasts with their regular talent from the Stamford, Connecticut studios of Yes Network, which were otherwise dark due to delay of Major League Baseball's upcoming season due to the pandemic, before moving back again to the CBS Broadcast Center beginning on April 17th with the morning newscasts. Maurice Dubois was then promoted to co-anchor of the CBS Evening News with John Dickerson in January 2025, and subsequently departed WCBS-TV in order to focus on the national broadcasts. Sports programming. From 1956 to 1993, WCBS-TV carried most New York Giants games through the network's coverage of the National Football League. CBS lost the rights to the NFC to Fox in 1994, resulting in Giant games moving to WNYW. Currently, Giants preseason games are carried by WNBC Channel 4, with WWOR-TV Channel 9 being served as an overflow station if the Summer Olympics conflicts with the preseason schedule. After a 5-year absence, the NFL returned to CBS and WCBS-TV in 1998 through a package of AFC games. The station currently airs New York Jets preseason games and most Jets regular season games, along with occasional Giants games, usually when the Giants play host to an AFC opponent at MetLife Stadium. Or since 2014, through the cross-flex broadcast rules, any Giants games where they play another NFC team that are moved from Fox to CBS. The station also aired occasional Jets games when they played at home to an NFC team from 1970 to 1993. During the regular season, some Jets games are rotated with WNBC through Sunday Night Football, WNYW through the NFL on Fox, and Thursday Night Football, which technically is on Prime, WABC-TV through ESPN's Monday Night Football, and WPIX-TV Channel 11 through Monday Night Football if Channel 7 is not airing them, and select TNF broadcasts not carried by Fox's package it shares with the NFL Network, or should we say shared with the NFL Network. And in rare cases, WWOR-TV Channel 9 through Monday Night Football. Channel 2 has aired the Giants' victories in Super Bowl 21 and Super Bowl 35. In 1980, WCBS-TV aired Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Finals via an episode of CBS Sports Spectacular, where the New York Islanders won the first of 4 straight Stanley Cups. In 2021 and 2022, the station aired the New York City E-Prix after the network acquired the rights to broadcast Formula E races. In 2002, WCBS-TV acquired the over-the-air rights to New York Yankees baseball games, replacing Fox-owned and operated WNYW. The games produced by the new Yes Network remained on the station until the 2004 season. The rights would move to then UPN affiliate and current My Network TV owned and operated WWOR-TV beginning in 2005. It also aired any Yankees or Mets games as part of CBS's MLB broadcast contract for 1990 to 1993, and WCBS-TV also served as the official regional host station of the 1996 NCAA Men's Final Four, which was held at the Continental Airlines Arena. All right. Notable on-air staff that are presently at Channel 2, you have Tony Aiello, General Assignment Reporter, Craig Allen, Weekday Morning Meteorologist, Dick Brennan, General Assignment Reporter and fill-in anchor. You have anchor Mary Calvi, Alice Gaynor, General Assignment Reporter and fill-in anchor, Carolyn Gussoff, Long Island reporter, Cindy Chu, anchor, Christine Johnson, also an anchor, Marsha Kramer, chief political reporter, Otis Livingston, sports anchor, Jennifer McLogan, Long Island correspondent, Jessica Moore, anchor and general assignment reporter, Lonnie Quinn, chief weathercaster, and Chris Raggy, anchor. And there are a lot of people that have worked on Channel 2, including Ross Abrams, Al Albert, Steve Albert, Vanessa Alfano, Maury Alter, Ernie Anastos, Tiki Barber, Steve Bartlesine, Pat Battle, Bruce Beck, Lynn Berman, John Bolaris, Jim Bolton, Richard Brown, Marie Bunyan, Tracy Carrasco, Duke Castiglione, T. Hoa Chang, Julie Chen, Alexis Christoforous, who was a business reporter at Channel 2. There's also Linda Church, John Coleman, Penny Crone, Chet Davis, Chet Curtis, Don Dahmer, Vince Dementri, Arnold Diaz, Diane Diamond, Maurice Dubois, Tom Dunn, Douglas Edwards, Linda Ellerby, Tamsin Fadal, Frank Field, Stormfield, Elise Finch, Ira Joe Fisher, Jack Ford, Emily Francis, Sean Gables, Lisa Gibbons, Frank Gifford, Megan Glaros, Dr. Max Gomez, medical reporter, Amanda Grove, who worked at the station from 1999 to 2002, Tony Guida, Brad Habert, Lester Holt, Huell Hauser, Carol Iovana, Weijia Zhang, Jim Jansen, John Johnson, Sarah Lee Kessler, Sukanya Krishnan, Pia Lindstrom, Tamara Lettner, Steve Levy, Linda Lopez, Carrie Lyon, Diane Macedo, Josh Mankiewicz, Dave Maraj, Sal Marciano, Michelle Marsh, who worked from 1979 to 1996 as an anchor, Carol Martin, Todd McDermott, Jim McKay, Rob Morrison, Paul Moyer, Joe Nicolini, Bill O'Reilly, Ralph Penza, Randall Pinkston, Mike Pomeranz, Dave Price, Shimon Prokopix, Andrew Puente, Carol Reed, John Roberts, Jim Rosenfeld, Jim Ryan, John Schifrin, Joel Siegel, Dave Sims, Roland Smith, John Stossel, Amy Stone, Kate Sullivan, Mike Tabby, John Tesh, Robert Trout, Dana Taylor, former anchor and host of Eye on New York, Earl Ubel, Jane Velaz Mitchell, Jane Velaz Mitchell, I had that right the first time, Meredith Vieira, Bree Walker, Rob Weller, Brian Williams, Joe Whitty, Warren Wolf, and Bob Young. Alright, technical information, looking at the subchannels. The station's signal is multiplex. Alright. All of its subchannels broadcast with a 16:9 aspect. Channel 2.1 is 1080i HD, and that's WCBS HD, which is CBS. The rest of the stations are in 480i. Channel 2.2 is Start TV. 2.3 is Dabble. 2.4 is Fave TV. 2.5 is Comet. And broadcasting on behalf of another station is channel 21.2, which is Create, which is seen on WLIW's second subchannel. And there is one translator station, and that's WCBS-TV DRT channel 22 in Riverhead. And that is the history of WCBS-TV, who signed on 1 hour later than the next station we will be looking at in this series, and that's coming up tomorrow when we chronicle WNBC-TV. That station is known as being the oldest in the United States. So we will continue this series tomorrow with a look at WNBC-TV, which is now just WNBC. And we'll continue throughout the New York City market over the next week and a half or so as we begin this series on television station history. And before I go, I want to give a quick shout out to everyone that joined me in the chat, including Anna Rodriguez and Crazy Cajun. I appreciate both of you for joining. And we will see you again tomorrow with a look at WNBC TV. But for now, like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Ring the bell and get notified every time I go live. Big Al signing off. Thanks for watching. And thanks for joining me on this trip through TV history. Peace out. Okay, let's try this again. Alright, there it goes. Check. And this journey through television history.